Hey Stunning Fam, this is Sarah. I am trying something new today by doing a voiceover. Let us know if you like it. Later on in the video, you will also hear Michele talking while she was actually doing the sewing process. But anyways, today we are doing a project that has been kind of going on for a while. We actually started it in January with the creation of the actual benches themselves, and then just recently, within the last 2 months, we were able to start the sewing of the padding covers. Now, it actually ended up being perfect timing because Michele and Dave wanted new couches in their home, which are recliner couches. They're very, very comfortable, and they got rid of their old couches, which was such a blessing because Brandon and I, we only had to buy the canvas tarp and nothing else. They blessed us. They got new recliner couches, and we got padding for our front porch benches. It was a win-win situation. So in this picture here, you can see Michele cutting out the pattern for the padding covers. She right here is cutting specifically the ends of the covers, and then she'll sew that onto the larger pieces.
Okay, so this is the end, and the actual cushion is 13 inches, and so I have 14 and a half. I'm going to take a ½ inch off of this, both ends, because I only want a ½ inch seam allowance on both sides. Then the width of the cushion is 5.5, and this is at 7, and I want it at 6.5. So I'm going to do the same thing for this. I'm going to take a ½ inch off of this guy. Okay, so here's my cushion end, or side. I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it about 7 inches in. And then I'm going to start pinning this little guy on here. Just the very edge with the pins facing out. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to start to turn this and start pinning this side here now. So I'm creating the end of this cushion here. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to start bringing it this way. Okay, so now you can see how I'm just kind of turning the fabric as I go to create this little box end. We measured all of our cushions individually because we cut them ourselves, which means they weren't exactly all the same size. They weren't machine manufactured, because we want this to be on the outside. It's a finished edge. So I will be fixing that in a minute. I'm going to actually unpin all these boogers. And this, my friend, is the beginning of our cushion. Or the end. To do the other side, I'm actually going to measure in again 7 inches so that not as easy when you have the other end on, because now that all the fabric's going to fold over, but it's doable. always easier to pin your stuff before you go and try and do it. I used to be rebellious and not pin my fabric before I put it together. That I can do this. Oh my goodness, things are slipping and sliding and looks all wonky when it's finished. Then you got to start ripping out, and if there's anything I hate, it's ripping out. As a child, my mother, she was a seamstress. She could, like I said, you guys, if you've heard our origin story, my mom was an amazing seamstress. She just, she was one of 7 kids, so she had to do all the sewing. So imagine. And she lived through the Depression, so she didn't have a lot, or nor did her family, especially with 7 kids, through the Depression, and they lived on a farm, 365-acre farm. And my mother was the cook. She was one of the oldest. No, she was the oldest girl. Not the oldest child, but the oldest girl. And she was the cook and the seamstress of the family. So she would go to the store with me, and I'd say, hey, I love that. Couldn't afford it, so she'd go buy fabric and she'd go home and make it for me. So that's my background on sewing, and she wanted me to learn to sew, but every time she made a mistake, I had to be the one to rip everything out. Everything. Okay, that.
As you can see in this picture, the individual padding covers were placed on the padding. We did decide to change up the look because we were not really a fan of how the final look turned out. So here you will see in this photo the backs of the smaller padding that we made, and then we actually went back about a month later and made long covers. And as you can see in this photo, how we didn't quite cover them up completely because it would be really, really hard to fit all the individual padding within each long cover if we made the backs too tight. So the long covers are very loosely placed on there with safety pins. Here is the final product with both the short covers and the long covers on. We actually recently had a friend over a few weeks ago, and she had mentioned that she could sleep on this padding. Like, it's that comfortable. So it's stylish and it's very, very comfortable. I'm very happy with how it turned out. Also, let us know if you would like us to do more voiceovers. Michele has done some in the past, but we don't do them on a regular basis. If you would like more of them, let us know and we can try to do that. I hope you all have a fabulous week. Take care.